The core of the book is this. Essentially, people don't choose or reject you, they choose or reject their perception of you. And the words and behaviors you engage in to present your value are the materials that people use to create their perceptions, because words create perception.
Hey everyone, this is Jen Foster here with the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. And today we have a special guest with us, Christian Hansen. And he has just written the book, The Influence Mindset for Sales Acceleration. So we're going to deep dive into sales and how you can get people to choose you. Welcome, Christian.
Thank you so much, Jen. It's great to be here.
Well, tell us a little about your background and how you're now teaching and coaching sales.
Yeah, it's funny. I never initially saw myself arriving at this point, but I got my start in higher education admissions, where as I was reading and interviewing thousands and thousands of people, I realized that I had a front row seat at learning, seeing what makes people stand out. And I started to notice patterns, habits, and techniques that these master communicators were using that influenced me, again, regardless of their grade point averages or whatever they brought to the table, that influenced me and other decision makers to choose them. And as my career progressed in running MBA programs, in running internship programs internationally, and also working in ultra high net worth financial services and sales, these same principles kept coming up again and again. And the dollar signs attached to those situations just kept getting larger and larger. And so I was like, hey, it's the same chemistry of decision making here. So here's what's happening. Our brains are wired to pay attention to certain things. And if you simply learn to communicate and present your value in ways that the brain is wired to pay attention to, then you're going to stand out. So I wrote my first book about this called The Influence Mindset, The Art and Science of Getting People to Choose You. It was a #1 bestseller, and LinkedIn put it on the top 10 list. And
That's really cool.
over time, I got a lot of attention from more sales companies who are like, how can we really use these principles for our sales teams? And that's what led me to write The Influence Mindset for Sales Acceleration. And the book is about the 7 EQ brain hacks, that the emotional intelligence brain hacks that get people to choose you. And that's what I love doing with companies. I love walking alongside them and helping them, look at their value and present it in ways that the brain is wired to pay attention to and remember. And so they stand out and they become the obvious choice.
Awesome. Out of the 7 steps, which one do you think is most important, or tell us a little about one of them?
Yeah, one of the key steps, oftentimes there's things to do and then there's things to be conscious to avoid, right? The core of the book is this. Essentially, people don't choose or reject you, they choose or reject their perception of you. And the words and behaviors you engage in to present your value are the materials that people use to create their perceptions, because words create perception. And are those words designed to actually do what you need them to do? Now, oftentimes, because we are trained in our education system and career, we tend to all speak in a very certain way in terms of overemphasizing our competence and how much we can do and that we're smart, capable, qualified, and passionate. The challenge is that if all you do is communicate your competence and you fail to create connection, then you're going to create noise, but you're going to sound just like everyone else. So
Yeah.
sales situations, one of the EQ brain hacks that I like to do is to ask this question of myself, okay? And that is this: how can I also acknowledge this person's emotions right now? I have my sales deck. I have my brochures. I have my presentation of all the stats and figures, achievements of why they should choose me, right? But in this moment, how can I also acknowledge this person's emotions right now? When I intentionally do that, I'm able to then combine competence plus connection to equal influence and avoid the common trap that most people fall into, where competence without connection is just noise. That's one of the key things. How can you make sure that you're creating connection and establishing your competence at the same time?
Yeah, I notice sometimes when I'm doing sales or talking to someone about a book publishing package, I get really honed in on the deliverables and everything they're gonna get, and I think I lose a lot of that connection because it's not really about that, it's more about the outcome of having a book in their hand.
Yes. And one of the reasons that is such a common thing to do is that we got to understand that our brains have had a very long time to figure out how to survive on this planet. And Therefore, it's wired to pay attention to certain things. And for me, I boil them down to five things. There are other things, of course, but I think the five core things are security, novelty, resources, status, and belonging. Okay? And the thing is that when you speak about the deliverables and everything, and you're kind of sitting into what you bring to the table, you're actually speaking to the needs that your survival brain is having. And yet, when you're speaking to your survival brain, then you're speaking in ways that is going over the head of the person that's in front of you. So, how can you set your own insecure survival brain to the side and focus on pouring your energy into understanding the needs of the person in front of you? And that's what the 7 EQ brain hacks help you.
Awesome. I think that's really cool. I really like that you dive deep into each step or each brain hack, right? And that you have illustrations in the book. So tell us a little bit about that bridge concept.
Yeah. Well, the key thing is that this is not just me from my armchair throwing out ideas. There is cited neuroscience research to say, here's what's happening in the brain when you say these things to someone in front of you. Here's what it is literally wired to pay attention to, right? So these are backed by neuroscience, and also there are case studies that I show with examples where I've seen this work, and there's also tactical examples that help you do this. To the image that you're bringing up, the core concept here is that there's a gap between you and the person that you're trying to influence. And I call that the perception gap. Now, if you can convince them to come to your side and to engage with your value, then you've just influenced them to choose you. The problem is that it's kind of like building a bridge. Okay? But most people don't understand this. They say, well, I'm over here. And they force someone to kind of go through the valley and deal with all the obstacles and come up. Or you can create a bridge through words and behaviors that make it simple and easy to engage and understand your value. And that's where I use the example from the Millau Viaduct in France, where they built this massive bridge that was taller than the Eiffel Tower and longer than the Golden Gate Bridge. Okay. And they had to build it from two opposing directions of the valley, and they met in the middle. And here they are, these two massive arms reaching out to grasp each other, each mile, kilometer long. And they're only off by a couple centimeters. The engineering was that incredible. But similarly, you need to establish connection. You need to establish your competence. And
Mhm.
together, those two things create a bridge that helps people simply and easily engage with your value in ways that are easier and more convenient than they engage with the value of other people.
I love how you said that engage with your value. It's if you both have the same belief systems, they're going to be on your side right away instead of having to go through that valley and struggle to get to where you're at.
Yes. And you need to be intentional about how do you make your value so simple and clear that someone goes, oh, this is the obvious choice compared to
Mhm.
every other option that's out there. And that's what I walk alongside companies and help them do.
Awesome. So it's really about honing in on what values they value, what beliefs, and then making sure those align or finding those people that have the same beliefs or values as
Yes, on the surface
you.
is that's it. The key thing is, what is it they value? That's a simple enough discussion. But the process that I work through in my coaching program is digging into what is their operating reality? The things that, what is behind, what's the emotion that's driving them to seek this in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So we just need to understand that they may have a problem to be solved, and that may be the tip of the spear, but the emotion behind that is the shaft that is guiding them through the air towards you. I may be able to solve a problem, but if I can't completely understand and repeat back to them in a way their emotion that they're dealing with, then I'm not going to truly make connection. So that's the key. How do we dig into their operating reality? And that's a process that I go through in one of my coaching.
Right. So digging into their emotional intelligence, you having emotional intelligence to be able to read what that is.
Yes. And the patients also ask questions in the right way, for
Mhm.
them to open up. And again, the book tackles how do you ask questions, patients, to truly make them feel safe and interested that you truly have their best interest at heart.
Yeah. Make them feel safe. So you never thought you were going to be in sales and now you're in sales or coaching
Here
sales.
we are again. I start off in higher education, but it's funny, working in higher education, I'm sitting across the desk with people as they're making major life decisions. And these are major life decisions that only happen a couple times. And, the chemistry of what are they going to get? There's a lot of, you know, insecurity, and sometimes the benefit is not certain in a lot of ways. And so helping people, so for example, as I'm helping someone make a decision about coming to our MBA program, this is a one-time decision. It's very expensive. It's going to change the course of her life. And I find that with the markets that I typically serve in real estate, also financial advising, and also consulting, the chemistry of decision making is the same. People have major decisions. The results are sometimes not quite clear, and they have to take a gamble. And it's usually a premium service that I'm supporting people with. And so, again, the chemistry of decision making is the same, just the wording is a little bit different. But I help people walk the process of how to truly influence people in those moments.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about your keynote speech. I know I came to your live event when you did your book release, your book launch. Tell us a little bit about your keynote speech and your course, your training course.
Yeah, I am, outside of saving the world, one influence story at a time. I'm a musician. In fact, I'm a pianist, and I compose, and I get commissions to write choral arrangements. Okay, that's my world, is the choral world. I currently sing with the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, and I've done tours with them. I perform with them in Carnegie Hall and a number of different places. And so music is a big part of what I do. And I've noticed the power of music to instantly communicate things to people on a way that words simply can't. And so when I was building out and trying to see how I can really serve audiences and companies better, that's where the idea of combining music with the points as a way to really create an experience that they can't forget, and to be an incredible thing that they will talk about for a long time. So I use my stage piano to present and engage the audience in a really entertaining way, but teach these deeper principles so they can leave ready to go and be prepared to stand out and influence people to choose them. So my keynote uses music, interaction, and a lot of fun and really kind of different creative ways of teaching these core messages in an unforgettable way.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you gave out a prop. So tell us a little bit about the prop that you gave out that kind of goes with your keynote and with your book and with all of it.
Yeah, I actually have one here. So it is a conducting baton. Now I have a little piece of tape on it because this is my practice one that I, practice with. But on the baton is the phrase rise above the noise, which is the name of my keynote. How do you rise above the noise? And essentially, we are all conductors in trying to influence people. And conductors in music use exactness and emotion to create unforgettable moments. Similarly, in your communication, we need to combine competence and connection to influence people to choose us. And that's what I think conducting baton is a real symbol of. So, audience, we have a conducting seminar. Everyone gets a baton so they can forever remember to combine competence and connection as they're trying to influence people. So that's the giveaway that everybody gets. And it's a fun memento. Not everybody carries batons around, and it's a fun thing they can take home with.
Yeah, it was very memorable and really cool. I set mine on top of my piano. I also play the piano. And so when I see it, I think of your keynote and think about all of the great information you had in your speech. Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about where we can go to get more information about hiring you to speak or to get your course.
So I'm on LinkedIn, Christian Hansen, author and influence. You can find me there. Also, my book, it's on on Amazon. You can easily find it there as well. My website is thechristianhansen.com, and that's also my handle for Instagram and stuff, and I'm available there. And the course that I'm working with companies on is called the 7 Conversational Assets. And here's what this means. When we network one-on-one with people, this is the chance when we're most likely to exchange a phone number, to get a business card, to set a phone call in the future. That's when social capital flows most freely. And yet, we enter into these networking situations, and our core stories that we tell are often unprepared. They're not very polished, and they're not ready to really serve people in this moment. Now, I've identified 7 conversational assets that, if you have these ready, it guides people along the predictable pathway of questions that they have. And so instead of just winging it and going, oh man, yeah, I wish I had a better way of saying that, Or I wish I could tell that story better. Why isn't it just landing? Well, we're going to walk alongside each other and using the principles of the neuroscience backed research of the 7 EQ brain hacks, help you create 7 conversational assets that are designed to help you stand out and build connection in any networking meeting. And if you're in onboarding or if you're in a sales meeting and you need to tell a key story, is your story landing or is it actually directing people in the completely wrong direction, right? And you have no idea. Well, I help people learn how to communicate their stories in ways the brain is wired to pay attention to. And I have a framework that I call the persuasive narrative framework. I've taught hundreds of people how to do that helps them truly stand out and get chosen. So that's the coaching program that I'm working with teams on right now. And it's been very successful. And the results, literally, someone has a session with me, we get one of these assets done, and then they walk into a business meeting and they've been able to use it just like that. And it's changed the course of a prospecting meeting that some of my clients have had. It's been really cool to see that result.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much for being on the show today, Christian. People can go to thechristianhansen.com and you can sign up or join his LinkedIn newsletter, download or, buy the book, read the book, leave a review, and hire you to speak.
Yeah. Love to be able to serve your company in a memorable way so they can truly rise above the noise, stand out from the crowd, and influence people to choose them over everybody else. And that's what we do with the influence mindset.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being on the show. Please can subscribe and share this podcast with someone who you know it would benefit. I know that all the information that Christian has shared with us will help all entrepreneurs and business owners. Talk to you soon.
Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.